Tuesday. Tansei, Oki, bonjour everybody. Hello. Welcome to another Tuesday teachings. Um, I'm I'm doing pretty good today. So happy belated International Indigenous Peoples Day. So that was yesterday, and I did a little bit of an event at City Hall here in Calgary. We were not only standing in solidarity with all of the lives that were lost, which were represented at City Hall with all of the shoes to represent the children that we have lost, but also we were standing in solidarity with what is happening in Brazil right now. I think it's really important that we need to put that on everybody's radar. We need to talk about these things because, it's essentially a genocide, and it's genocide through legislation, which unfortunately Canada knows far too much about that because that's our legacy to the world is the Indian Act. And legalized genocide. Huzzah. So I think it's really important that we come together with, all of our brothers and sisters across the world because we are all related. This is why I say all my relations, because we are. So I've decided to be humble today, and this is my very messy background. I'm in the process of cleaning, but of course I keep putting more things on my plate and I keep forgetting about other things. So my commitment to myself this week is to actually clean up my space. We'll see how that goes. So I just wanted to welcome everybody, of course, into the circle today. I am here in Mohkinstsis, which is better known as Calgary, and this is Treaty 7 territory. It's important to acknowledge the land upon which we stand, because of course if you don't know where you are, you don't know where you've been, and you don't know where you're going. But it's also important to establish a sense of place, a sense of grounding, lay some roots, lay a foundation, and be present and mindful of the footsteps that you're walking in. And so I think it's so, so important to begin in that way because that's the best way to start, one foot in front of the other. And so I honor the people of Treaty 7 that have traditionally called this territory home for thousands upon thousands of generations for time immemorial. And so I honor the Blackfoot of Siksika, Kainai, and Bakani. I honor the Sarsi Dene from Tsutsuna and the Stoney Nakoda from Morley, which includes Chiniki, Bearispaw, and Wesley First Nations. We're also walking in the footsteps of Métis Region 3, which is why I proudly wear my Métis sash to act as that bridge between Indigenous and non-Indigenous culture. And when we acknowledge the land, we're really acknowledging that beautiful history that we share, but also the relationships that we need to maintain, the relationships to each other and the relationships to the land. Indigenous people have always been intrinsically connected to the land, and to know that we're part of Mother Earth. We're not above Mother Earth or below it, but we're part of it. And so we have a relationship that we have to maintain. It's also the responsibility that we have to make sure that that world is, preserved for future generations. And so this is why it's so, so important to do the work that we continue to do, whether it be standing up for our brothers and sisters in Brazil, whether it be standing up for our brothers and sisters in Colombia, whether it be standing up for our brothers and sisters here in Canada and in the States, all over Turtle Island that are going through so much. It's colonization is awful, and we need to start addressing all of our concerns. We need to start addressing institutionalized racism, and I think we're addressing it a little bit at a time, but it's escalating beyond control right now, and Mother Earth is really suffering for that, as well as our people, and so we need to stand up together. And part of that acknowledgement is acknowledging that responsibility to stand up together, because like the Métis sash, the teachings behind the Métis sash is a single strand alone is brittle, is weak, but when it's woven together, it's strong. And so it teaches us when all of our nations, all of our colors, all of our people are woven together, we are strong. And so I wanted to welcome everyone into the circle today with the Cree Welcome Song. Traditionally, when I sing songs and stories, I sing in rounds of 4 to honor the 4 directions of the medicine wheel. But this song is a little bit different. We actually sing it in rounds of 3, and that's to keep the circle open and welcoming so everyone completes the circle today. Because in a circle, we're all connected. There's no beginning, there's no end. No one is greater or less than anyone else in the circle, just like in the hoop of life. So it teaches us to honor each other for those differences, because if we were all exactly the same, the world would be incredibly boring and nothing would ever get done. And so it teaches us to honor all of those different voices and all that we can bring into the community without judgment. And because that's truly what wisdom is. It's knowing not to judge and just to be welcoming and learn and be open and receptive. And so this song, Mia Sin, which is the Cree welcome song, is from the Natahoe family from Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation. Which is on the border of Saskatchewan and Alberta. And I honor this family every time I sing this song because I think it's so important. It's such a beautiful song. It's such a beautiful way to call in the ancestors and start whatever you're doing. I love to sing it in the morning just to start my day because it's the way that I call in my ancestors to follow me forward. And I can feel ancestors coming together when we sing this song, and it's just such a blessing to be able to share it. And I'm so thankful that that family, persevered and kept this song alive and kept the story alive, because for so many years we weren't able to share our songs and to share our stories and to share our teachings. And so the fact that we can, it just shows how resilient our people can be, but also how important it is to maintain those teachings for our future generations, but also to let them pave that way. And so Mia Sin, which is the Cree welcome song, is sung in runs of 3 to keep it open. And it doesn't just mean welcome, it also means beautiful. So I'm going to try not to knock anything. You can tell I was doing a drum circle over the weekend, so I've got like drums and all of these instruments everywhere, but I'm going to move this out of the way so I can sing. There we go. There's a hang drum over there. I'm trying not to knock it over. Mia Sin, Mia Sen, Asemina, Asemina, Epita Kote, Niwagomagan, Hota, Homa, Kitaskino, Mia Sen, Mia Sen, Hasemina, Hasemina, Epita Kote, Niwagomagan, Hota, Homa, Kitaskino, Mia Sen, Mia Sen, Hasemina, Hasemina, Epita Kote, Niwagomagan, Hota, Homa, Kitaskino. Hi, and welcome to the circle today. So today I wanted to smudge. I haven't smudged the last few times, and I felt really weird about it, but just for people who haven't joined me before, who don't know what smudging is how you have a shower or a bath to clean your body, you smudge to clean your spirit. And so it's our way to just let go of anything that you don't want, and the way to ask for the things that you need in your life. But be careful what you ask for, because if you ask for patience, you're going to be gifted a lot of things that will make you super patient. So just be very aware of your language. But it's just a really good way to ground and to center yourself, and to ask for guidance from your elders, or those that have passed on. It's a beautiful way. Whenever I'm stressed out, I smudge and I feel like 1,000 times better. And so I'm smudging only with sage today. I'm going to talk very briefly about the medicines after I make a quick little smudge ball here. All right. And so, all four elements are in the smudge bowl. So I'm going to first talk about my teachings behind the medicines, and I'm going to just do a really quick rundown. Usually I go really in depth and it takes me about an hour to go through everything, but it's going to be really fast. So this is sweetgrass. And again, these are just my teachings. Everybody's going to have different teachings depending on where they're from, the nation that they reside in, the people that they've learned from. This is why I encourage people to learn from different elders and knowledge keepers and medicine keepers, because you never know what's going to resonate with you. It's really about just honoring your journey and knowing these are oral traditions and oral storytelling. So whatever's not meant for you, you won't keep in your brain, but whatever's meant for you will stay in your heart and stay with your spirit. And sometimes it might not come out right away. Sometimes it might come out 2-3 weeks later, or maybe a year later. But when it's meant to help you on your path, that's when those teachings will come through. And so I can only share my Cree teachings, and of course Cree to Cree, they might be slightly different as well, so it really depends on the nation that you're from. And so I'm going to start in the east with sweetgrass. Sweetgrass honors our mind. It honors, of course, the east. That's grandfather sun. He rises every morning, so it's that masculine energy. It reminds us that we're a balance of masculine and feminine, just like we're a balance of our head and our heart. We need that balance to be able to think fully and completely, to be a full being. And that's truly what sweetgrass helps us with, is to clear our minds and to really have focus whenever you're really stressed out. Well, I use sage to just kind of calm my emotions, but if your head's just like going a million miles a minute, you can smudge with sweetgrass, or even have it in tea. Actually, when I have insomnia, sometimes I will actually have sweetgrass in my tea, and it's awesome. So that's sweetgrass, and that's the power of our mind. And so we're going to go on to the next medicine. We're going to go to the south. So in Cree, we follow the sun. And depending on where you're from, your teachings might be different, and that's cool. So this is cedar, and cedar is about honoring our physical body, our physical being. So even though I'm not using all of my medicines, I always lay all of my medicines out to honor the teachings behind those medicines. Then we're going to go to the west, and in the west we have sage, which is the women's medicine. It's connected to grandmother moon, which is that feminine energy. It reminds us of our connection that we have to water, which is the life giver and the life bearer. We need water to survive, so it teaches us how to honor that. And so I'm really thankful. When I went picking with some wonderful, fabulous, fantastic women, and we went up and picked just a beautiful amount of sage. I was covered in burrs because when I go sage picking, I'm like, where's the good stuff? So I like kind of go way off the beaten path, and I was like, oh, I'm regretting wearing my good ribbon skirt today because I was just coated. But yeah, I'm really, really thankful whenever I'm able to go sage picking, and I'm hoping to coordinate a couple more sage picking trips before the snow falls, so that we are able to go and get some sage together, including a two-spirit sage picking trip during Pride, because how better to express your pride than, by honoring your two-spirit nature and by picking medicines. So hi, so that's sage, which we will be using to smudge today. And then the last medicine that I have was actually, this is tobacco. This was actually gifted to me when we went sage picking, and I'm so, so thankful and humbled because she grows her own natural tobacco. It's so absolutely beautiful. I'm going to see if I can get like a little piece of it, but yeah, so this is like a little piece of tobacco, and that's just like a bud, and this is a leaf, but it's really amazing. Yeah, she's got a green thumb. I gotta get her to come and help me with my yard because she's amazing. But tobacco it's a gift. It's our spirit medicine. And so we have our physical body on the south, but we have, our spiritual body in the north. And tobacco really helps us for guidance. It helps us for clarity. It helps us to, well, pray if you want to say that, or I just say setting intention, because it's setting intention for the week ahead. Someone had asked me actually about some of the shoes that are at City Hall. There has been a little bit of damage, and they weren't sure if they could help by like rearranging and like fixing the damage that was done. And I said, of course, but bring tobacco or bring a medicine with you. And after you're done moving those shoes back to where they need to be, put some tobacco either in them or around them to really honor that journey of that child home. And so it's really, really important. I always have tobacco on hand, and somebody's like, well, do you smoke? And I'm like, no, I don't smoke. But tobacco is a spirit medicine. It's symbolic. It's not meant for our bodies. It's meant for our prayers. And so I honor tobacco. So thank you so much for that. And I actually have a story about tobacco, and I will share that after we smudge. And so this is my smudge bowl. Yay. So the bowl itself represents water. All 4 directions, all 4 elements are in the bowl. Whenever we put the medicine in the bowl, it represents earth, no matter what the medicine is, because it comes from the earth. When we light it on fire, which we're about to do, it represents fire. And then the smoke going up represents air, which is our prayers, which is, you know, that cleansing. Just imagine everything just being taken away. I take off my jewelry usually before smudging, and I just realized I actually wasn't wearing any jewelry today. So, yes, that intention of being humble is really coming full circle. You know, the humility of like showing my mess, but also the humility of not wearing a lot of jewelry today. It's one of those days, I think. Oh. For some reason, this doesn't want to light. Ah, there we go. I think I was just on the wrong side. There's no right or wrong way to smudge. This is whatever feels good to you. And smudging is actually, it's a practice in many, many, many different cultures. Not just First Nations, but of course, I think we're the only ones that actually call it smudging. But, you know, some people use incense or resin, but it's around the world. It's universal teaching that smoke is a cleanser. And there's science behind that, actually. Smoke, specifically from certain herbs, will actually clean the air. It'll filter out toxins, viruses, bacteria, fungus. Yeah, it just makes the air pH balanced, and it also ionizes it. So this is probably why Indigenous people have been doing this for generations. You'll notice I'm fanning it with my hand. I never blow on it because our breath is our life, and our life is precious, and we don't waste that for anybody. And so I'm just going to relight that if it decides to. There we go. Because I don't think I got it enough. Also, this sage is pretty fresh, so it's a little harder to catch. There we go. That's better. All right, now I gotta go on. And so I'm gonna just put it on my lap here. The first thing I like to do is I just clean my hands so that anything I'm carrying I get rid of. Actually, that's really wobbly. I'm going to put it here on my desk. So it's gonna look like I'm on fire. There we go. So cleanse my hands. And I'm gonna bring it over my body 4 times to honor the 4 directions of my body. I'm gonna smudge my mind so I can think clearly and learn from every person that crosses my path. So I can be open-minded and never reduced with my thinking, so I can always learn in a good way. Smudge my ears so I can be open to hear all of the messages that Creator sends me. So I remind myself that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, so we can listen twice as much as we speak. I smudge my eyes so I can see clearly and see all of the beauty that surrounds me, so I can see the path that unfolds in front of me, but also so I can remember to not only see the seen, but the unseen. I smudge my nose so I smell danger and cookies and nature. I smudge my mouth so I speak only true and kind words that are helpful and benefit mankind in line with the 7 teachings. I always ask myself, is it truthful? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Is it respectful? If it's none of those 4 things, don't say it, don't do it. It's a pretty good rule of thumb. Smudging my throat. I'm very thankful for my voice this lifetime, so I can continue to give voice to the voiceless. Smudge my lungs so I breathe good, clean air to remind us all of the sacred breath that we all share. I smudge my heart so I can be kind and compassionate and show unconditional love to all those that cross my path. My family, my friends, my relatives around the world, but also with myself. I think sometimes we forget to really show that love to ourselves, especially if we're caregivers or if we're community advocates. We tend to forget to replenish ourselves. smudge my stomach, so all of the food that I eat this day will nourish my body. I smudge my womanhood, because I'm very thankful to be a woman and a mother in this time. I'm also very thankful to be a two-spirit woman. Even though I do carry a lot of women's teachings, I also carry men's teachings, and I'm very thankful for the ability to step into two worlds. I'm going to smudge my shoulders, and my neck and my back, so I can carry all of the responsibilities that Creator's gifted me with grace and humility. I smudge my legs, so I can walk this red road in a good way. I smudge my arms and hands so I can do the good work that Creator's put me here to do. And also I forgot that. And then I smudge my feet. So I walk gently upon Mother Earth, on the footsteps of my ancestors. And then when you're done, you can, anywhere that you need a little extra love, so my knee's giving me some grief, so I'm going to smudge my knee. My hips, of course, always giving me grief, so I'm going to smudge my hips. And then if there's anyone in your life that you want to send that love to, that appreciation to, healing, maybe they just crossed your mind and you're really thinking of them, you hold them in your heart and you send them that love. And then when you're all done, you just say hi hi, or miigwech, or merci, or thank you, or gracia, or sheshe, or however you say thank you in your language. It's an important thing to know a little bit of your language. And I'm slowly but surely learning my languages, you know, one word at a time. Sometimes it's phonetic and then I learn it afterwards, but I think it's really important to be able to have that base, to be able to talk to your ancestors, even if it's just a little bit at a time. And so, yeah, I was going to share the story of the tobacco, and then I'm going to share the Creator song. And so the tobacco plant, it's not really terribly good for us. So, like I had mentioned before, we actually aren't supposed to take it into our bodies because it makes us sick. I know you can't pick it without gloves on or hold it for very long, or else you can get really, really sick. A friend of mine who was growing some really large tobacco, is a different kind of tobacco than this, but she was like, hey, help me harvest. I'm like, yeah, for sure. And I went over and I'm starting to pick it, and I forgot to wear my gloves, and I was so nauseous. Because it's got like this sticky residue on it that just makes, yeah, it's bad. It kills bugs, which is great. So you don't have a lot of pesticides that are needed for it, but yes, it makes you sick. So it's actually not meant for us. We can't smoke it because it'll hurt our lungs on the inside. And even when we have a pipe ceremony, we're not breathing it in because it's not meant for us. We're puffing it and blowing it down, or we're blowing it in our hand and bringing it over our bodies, but we're never actually bringing it in. Unlike all of the other plants, most of them can be used either externally or internally within moderation. Everything's within moderation. So the story behind tobacco plant is when Creator was first sent us to Earth, we didn't really know how, well, actually second time around, we didn't really know how to pray and how to honor each other and how to say thank you and how to connect with Creator on a deeper level. And so Creator just called a big meeting and said, okay, I need all of the animals and I need all of the plants and I need all of your ideas, because we need to figure out how we are going to teach the two-leggeds to pray. And we're going to need someone to help them with that. And so all of the animals were thinking, well, maybe one of us could do it. And Creator thought, well, maybe, but I think it has to be a little bit more subtle because they have to learn. And all of the plants were like, well, we could probably do it. And so all of the animals started arguing, well, which of them was the best to do this for Creator. And then all of the plants started to argue, well, all but one started to argue about, well, I'm the best because I'm the tastiest, or you can use me for the most medicines, or you can use me on the outside of your body, or I start growing first, or I die last in the winter, or my roots are really, really deep. Or so they started just arguing back and forth like, I'm delicious. And so as they were arguing about who was the best, the little humble tobacco plant walked up through the crowd of arguing plants and animals and stood at Creator's feet and said, Creator, I'm pretty useless. I just kind of need a job. So the two-leggeds, they can't eat me. They can't smoke me. They can't use me on the outside of their body. They can't use me anywhere on the inside of their body. So Creator, I don't have a way to connect with the two-leggeds. Can you use me? Can I have that job to be your voice of prayer on earth? I know that I'm not better than anyone else, but I feel like it's all I got. And so Creator thought for a moment and said, you know what, tobacco, you are the most humble of the plants. You are the kindest and most thoughtful, but you also have that intention within you of prayer, which is truly what I was looking for. And so, yes, tobacco, I want you to be my voice down with the two-leggeds on earth. And so tobacco came to us and showed us how to use the tobacco plant to pray, how to lay it down for people and for things that we need, how to smudge with it, but never to breathe it in, and how to grow it, but also grow it in a very intentional way. Whenever we take something from the earth, we always give tobacco back because it reminds us of that cycle and that relationship that we have. And tobacco was so humble to sacrifice himself so that we could learn how to do these things. And so that's a little bit of a story behind tobacco. And so, yeah, I'd like to share with you the Creator song, and then I'm going to share another little story about a plant, about animals and plants. But where did I? Oh, there's my drum. Okay. So the Creator song, I love singing it. I think I sing it almost every week, but this song just means so much to me. And so in it, it's really about honoring the sacred breath that we all share. It's honoring all of creation and recognizing that we are all related and that Creator has made us in balance and there is nothing wrong with us. Oh, okay, my sister. Good to see you, Steph. But this song really reminds us like to stay humble and to not compare ourselves to others, because Creator made us just the way we need to be so that we can be part of that circle. And same with all of the plants and all of the animals. And this is why it's so important to maintain our relationships with all of those plants and those animals, because without them we're off balance. Our whole world is off balance. The fact that we've lost so many species of animals, in the last 100 years, it's devastating for those relationships that we could have built and for the knowledge that a lot of those plants held and a lot of those animals have held. But they have so much to teach us, and I think it's very short-sighted to think that we know everything. And so the Creator song teaches us that. It teaches us to be humble. It teaches us that every plant, animal, all of our relations have something to teach us. But also it teaches us of that sacredness of the breath that we all share. We're sharing that same breath that our ancestors did, that all of those plants and animals have for thousands upon thousands of years, for time immemorial. And this is truly that song that brings us back to that, brings us back to the sacredness of everything and the connectedness of everything, because Creator, that's the way He made us, or he, she, it, Creator. And so when I sing this song, I thank my one friend for sharing this song with me. Thank you to Night Sun. I'm just really humbled when they shared it with me, and it was such a gift. And what was really cool about it is I learned it right away, because as soon as I heard it, I was like, I know this song, and I felt like it was in me. And then I went to share it with my great aunt, and as I was drumming and singing and sharing this with my great aunt, she started singing at the same time, and I was like, Auntie, you know this song? And she's like, how did you find this song? This is our family song. Thank you for bringing it home. And so it really does teach us that, whatever is meant to happen will, and we just have to have faith and just be open to wherever Creator leads us and wherever those paths do lead us. And we can do that with humility. So yeah, this is the Creator song. Whoop. It's really messy in my house right now. Espeme kotalino, kize kotalino, weyo heyo ha 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 weyo. Espeme ko tawino, kize koto tawino, weyo heyo ha weyo, weyo heyo ha weyo. Weyo heyo ha weyo, weyo heyo ha weyo, weyo heyo ha weyo, weyo heyo ha weyo. Yes, me ko tawino, kize koko tawino, weyo heyo ha weyo, weyo heyo ha weyo. Weyo heyo ha weyo, weyo heyo ha weyo, weyo heyo ha weyo, weyo heyo ha weyo. Yes, me ko tawino, kize koko tawino, weyo heyo ha weyo, weyo heyo ha weyo. Weyo heyo ha weyo, weyo heyo ha weyo, weyo heyo ha weyo, weyo heyo tawino. Awesome. So yeah, that story that I want to share. So it's been crossing my mind a lot lately, and I've heard it from several different elders and several, ow, that was my toe, in several different ways. And so, yeah, this song is about us, but it's also about how we got our spirits and where they are. And so, when we came to Earth, for the second time around, Creator decided he wanted to give us a spirit so that we would be able to learn, we would be able to connect with not only ourselves, but with our ancestors and, with our teachings, and of course with Creator, and all of the beings and all of our relations on the planet. And so Creator, of course, called all of the animals together and said, okay, so I want to give the two-leggeds a spirit. And all of the animals had already had that spirit gifted to them when they took their first sacred breath with all of creation. And they said, okay, Creator, are you sure? And he's like, yes, I'm sure. But I want them to have to work at it, to be able to connect with their spirit and to be able to find not only their spirit, but their purpose and their being. So that was kind of all incorporated in this gift that Creator wanted to give to us. And he said, but if it's too easy to find, well, they'll be able to find each other's, and then it will just be really, really difficult, but also it would just cause a lot of drama and stress, and if, they wouldn't work for it. So we need to be able to earn that ability to connect with spirit, that ability to connect with who they are. And so, animals, what are some ideas? Where can I hide this so that they can find it and it's actually like a blessing and a gift to discover? And so all of the animals thought for a moment, and then the beaver said, well, what about within the trees? Because the trees can hold so much, and including those knowledge, and they are so old and wise, and they stand tall. And Creator shook their head and said, no, unfortunately, the two-leggeds will learn how to cut down those trees, and they will easily find that spirit. Oh, well, Beaver thought, well, I'm not sure. What other ideas? And, well, the otter said, well, what about talking to, oh, let's ask the turtle. And so Turtle stepped forward and said, what about at the bottom of the ocean? Because if it's at the bottom of the ocean, they will have to dive very, very, very deep and work really hard, and they won't be able to find it, Creator. And Creator said, no, one day they will figure out how to get to the bottom of the ocean, and they will be able to dive very deep, and they will easily find it. Oh, the turtle said, well, who else has any ideas? And the eagle said, well, what about at the top of the mountains? At the top of the mountains, it's hard enough for us to get up there. And Creator shook their head again and said, unfortunately, at the top of the mountains, One day they're going to be able to reach the top of every single mountain on all of Turtle Island. So they'll be able to find it there too. And all of the animals started thinking, well, where would we be able to hide it? And the eagle piped up again, well, what about in the sky? If we hid it somewhere in the sky on some clouds, maybe they wouldn't find it. And Creator shook their heads and said, no, unfortunately, they're still going to be able to find it in the clouds. One day, they'll be able to create something to be able to touch the clouds. And all of the animals were shocked at how innovative these amazing two-leggeds that were coming were, but also stumped on where they would be able to hide this spirit of theirs. And so they thought more and they thought more. And then the bat came forward and said, well, what about on the moon? The moon is so high up in the sky and she's so bright, they'll never be able to reach her, Creator. And Creator, again, shook their heads and said, no, unfortunately, one day, those two-leggeds, being as innovative as they are, will be able to reach the moon. All of the animals were shocked, but no one had any idea where they would be able to bury it. The mole popped up and said, well, what about under the earth? We could bury it deep within the earth and they'll never find it there. And Creator again shook their head and said, no, one day they will dig down deep into the earth. They will forget their teachings of how we connect with the earth. And they'll find it there. And all of the animals were just shocked. And none of them could think of anywhere good. And then there was a tiny voice that said, I know where to hide it. And then forward came the tiny, humble mouse. And she said, Creator, we could hide it within them. And Creator thought, Mouse, that is perfect. If it's within them, they have to work on themselves to find their spirit. They have to connect with themselves and with me. That is the perfect place. And so from that moment on, our spirits were held within our hearts, within our very being. And so, yeah, I love that story. It's very cute. I'm going to share with you another song. What song do I want to share? Actually, I'm going to share the Mother song because it's been in my head a lot lately. And I think it was actually sent to me also as a Wildflower song, and I'd never heard it as the Wildflower, only as the Mother song. And this song I learned from my friend Lacey, who's from Sault Ste. Marie, so I'm very, very thankful for her sharing that song with me. We did a song exchange, and I think it's such a blessing when you're able to do a song exchange where you teach a song and you get one in return. And it just really helps to kind of guide you on your path. I always say when you're on the right path, good things happen. So yeah, this is the Mother song. I sing it for all of the mothers, all of the grandmothers, all of the aunties. I also sing it for all of the parents and all of the children, all of the grandparents. So when we sing this song, it's really, in the song you can hear that anguish of a mother calling out to her child, and the child calling back. But you know, we watch our kids grow up and we want to protect them, but we know we can't protect them always. So it's really about honoring their journey home. If they don't come home, it's really, really difficult. And so this song was also to honor all of the children in residential school that didn't come home, all of the mothers that didn't get a chance, and all of the parents who didn't get a chance to be parents. And now the devastation of, you know, that intergenerational trauma that we're all living through, because when you pull a child away from their family, they don't have a chance to learn unconditional love, and that will cycle through many generations. I'm thankful I broke that cycle of intergenerational trauma with my own kids. And I know I'm trying to do my best, but I did that through culture. And this song really is, it's so beautiful because it reminds us that no matter how far we are, we're still in our hearts. And so, yeah, this also honors all of the survivors of the 60s scoop and Residential School 2.0, which is the foster care system. So this is the Mother song. Way-ah, hey-ah, yo, way-ah, A little bit of a teaching. So somebody had asked me if it was okay to smudge in public or if it was okay to film it. And there are different teachings behind the different ceremonies. And so if you're actually leading a ceremony, not just a smudging, then yeah, don't film it. For example, like today, this is my public smudge bowl. And so whenever I'm using my public smudge bowl, yes, you may film. But I also have a ceremonial smudge bowl that never gets filmed, and I also have a personal smudge bowl that's just for me. And so I think it's really important to honor and respect everybody's teachings. And so some teachings, no, you do not film smudging at all, and some you can. You just have to ask permission first. I think that's really important. More than anything is always ask for consent. Like 100% consent is sexy. So, but also I think it's really important to know that with any of these songs and stories, if you're sharing them, you need to know A, where they've come from, and B, you have to acknowledge that when you share it, because there's so many times that I catch myself and I'm like, no, this is where I learned this song from, or this song came through me. It's really how I need to kind of honor that history, but also honor the fact that, you know, these songs and stories are still alive for a reason, for a purpose, and it's because of that lineage of being passed down from person to person, from society to society, from friends to family to whomever. But you have to acknowledge that pipeline, so to speak, of where those things have come from. And so, yeah, I think it's really important to do that. I'm going to share another song. I was thinking of my friend Cash today. He sent me a picture of this beautiful buffalo up in the Yukon, and I was just always so humbled whenever I see buffalo. They make me feel grounded, and they just want me to like just be one and be at peace. And actually have a little bit of a story about a buffalo. And so there was a white buffalo, and he was actually brought up from the States. And so when he was in the States, of course, when he was born, there was a big like hurrah, there was a white buffalo born. And so he got taken away from his mother a little too early. Okay, a lot too early. And he was basically put in a teeny tiny little pen, barely able to move, wasn't able to grow. He was poked and prodded, and people would come and just stare at him. It was basically like a novelty act. And, you know, he suffered extreme abuses. And so advocacy, an animal advocacy company, came and rescued him, and he ended up on Rafter 6, which isn't too far from Calgary. It's really close to the Stoney Nakoda Nation, all three of those nations. And so my mom was like, hey, this white buffalo is here. Do you want to go check it out? I was like, sure. It had already been there for a month. When we got there and we'd spoken to the people there, they said, yeah, he really hasn't, like he's been eating a little bit, but he hasn't been eating a lot, and he hasn't really walked since he got here. And he just keeps hiding in one corner of the pen away from anybody. And so, you know, he's there. He can go say hello, but he's probably not going to come forward. Yeah, he can barely walk. Like I think they saw him took like 2 or 3 steps since he'd been there. And so we went, and of course we were praying, we were drumming, and we were singing like tobacco down for him. And you know, of course he didn't move. He looked at us, and then my mom was like, "Okay, well I'm gonna go put the kids in the car because I had my boys with me." And so she started to walk away, and then I started drumming and sang, and then I put my drum down and I put my hands out and I just started praying, and I started just channeling that healing energy into him, and just telling him he was safe and it was okay, and you know, he was here to thrive and he wouldn't be hurt anymore, and that we loved him, and just pouring that love into him. And then I heard my mom behind me going, shut down, shut down. And I opened my eyes and he was right there in front of me, and he started rubbing into my hands. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing. And then he leaned forward and he licked my face, and I'm like, oh, it felt like a cat's tongue. It was pretty crazy weird, like a really, really big, muscular cat's tongue. But it was such a blessing, not only to just share that intention and that love, but to have that gift back. And I think that's what it needs to be about. You always have to give something before you take. You can't just expect things for not doing anything. And that's that constant reminder, like we always have to give to each other. We always have to take care of each other. And don't be afraid to accept as well. I think that's that's also a challenge. But in order of him and his healing, and also thinking of my friend Cash, who sent me that beautiful picture today and reminded me of that story, I'd like to share the Thunderbird song, because Cash really loves the Thunderbird song. And so, yeah, this is an Anishinaabe song. There's a story behind the Thunderbird. There's actually a few stories. But the meaning of this song is really about everything happens for a reason, that you're put on the path that you're on for a purpose, and you can't change the past, because if you keep trying to, you're going to kind of like get stuck in these ruts, and you're never going to move forward until the Thunderbird eventually gets fed up and just kicks you on the right path. And sometimes it's not a very gentle kick. My kick was with a truck, and I've had 4 hip surgeries since. But even though that was horrible and it was a miserable experience, it put me on the path that I'm on now. So I'm grateful that, maybe not that I got hit by a truck per se, but I'm grateful for the path that I'm on now. And had it not been for that accident, I wouldn't be where I am. And so I'm very humbled for that, and the teachings behind that the Thunderbird offers. It's our ancestors pushing us forward. It's the spirit of the Thunderbird pushing us forward. It's our intuition, which is our internal Thunderbird, our spirit speaking through us and to us. And so it's a gift to be able to listen, to be able to be mindful enough to pay attention, to be able to listen. And so, yeah, this is a Thunderbird song. I learned it actually from a couple different elders, Carrie Moore, and I also learned it from Sharon, and I remember hearing it when I was growing up, and so that's why it kind of stuck in my mind. But this is the Thunderbird song. Kichima peso, money to Kichiwa no. And other bear songs in my head. It was funny, we sang the bear song twice yesterday, and what I really loved is there's different versions of these songs that are floating around, so it's not right or wrong, it's just different. And so the version that I share is more of like a community and a children's version, so it's one that we like sing all together in like for as a celebration, and then there's another one, and it's more about that honoring that relationship, but it's also more about prayers. It's asking for those things that you need from the bear spirit. And so, yes, this is the bear song, the version that I do. Yeah, so I'm going to sing it all the way through. Sometimes I do it as a call and response. A lot of these songs, I have figured out how to do them as a call and response to make them a little bit more community oriented. But the meaning and the spirit of them is still the same. And I think it's the intention that you put into anything, just like when we give tobacco. It's the intention that we put into it, not the amount, not the kind, but the intention. And so, yeah, it's the same with our songs. If your intention isn't there, or if it isn't fully and completely, it's not going to have the same effect. Whereas if you're singing from your spirit, you're singing through your spirit's right here in your belly button, and through your heart, and with a clear mind, and really honoring those footsteps that you're standing in. That's truly when those songs resonate. And so this is the bear song. Kami song, I always feel like somebody's dancing around me. I love that. I love that feeling because I'm like, yeah, my ancestors are getting their jam on. I wanted to, of course, share the traveling song before I go anywhere. But I want to thank everybody for joining me. I'm also going to be sharing a lot more on social media about what's happening in Brazil. I think it's really important. Just read through some of those articles to understand exactly what's going on and how it's going to affect us. I think that's kind of the biggest thing. It's to think it's over there and it's so detached from us. It's very short-sighted. We're all one, and it's going to affect us. If we think it's not, it's a lie. It's going to affect us. Just like what's happening with the Amazon rainforest. I mean, we're starting to feel the effects here. We have a body regulation system in place on our planet, and it's not being regulated, and we're wondering why we're having all of this extreme weather and droughts and famines, and this is something we've known, for thousands of generations as Indigenous people. We know that we have to take care of Mother Earth if she's to take care of us, because if we don't, we're not going to have a home, we're not going to have food, we're not going to have clothing, we're not going to have any of those things, and it's going to be our fault. And Mother Earth will be fine. She'll rejuvenate and replenish herself after she shakes us off like fleas, but we need her to survive. She doesn't need us, so it's the opposite. So this song is really about finding that path. I'm praying that everyone finds that path. This is the time of so many prophecies. Specifically, I'm referring to the Unishibi prophecy of the eighth fire, well, the seventh fire. So it said that we would go through all of these trials and tribulations, the different fires, and now we are about to step into that seventh fire. And so we have a choice. There's two roads ahead. We can either stand on the path that we're on right now, of destruction, of destroying our planet, of taking things away, of materialism, and that path is obviously going to lead to destruction. And then there's another path, this path that Indigenous and traditional people stand on, and that's the path of back to harmony. It's that path back to our ancestors and our traditional ways of knowing, of sharing, of growing, of building community in a good way. And that's the path. That's the path I want to go down. I don't know about you. But it's funny because it's not just the Anishinaabe that have seen this time. We have the Cree and have the Rainbow Warrior prophecy, which also is a Lakota prophecy. And we, of course, have the Hopi rock prophecy, which shows that time where we could either continue or we have that jagged path downwards. And so it's really important that we work together and we get through these trials and tribulations by sharing and nurturing and showing the earth and each other that we care and we love. Because unconditional love is really, really important for our healing process to begin. And so this is the traveling song, which was from my elder Sharon Prue Turner before she passed, and then it came back to me from Ashley and Yolanda, and I'm so, so thankful and humbled for that. I hope you have a beautiful week. Please do help anyone that needs it. Also, don't be afraid to ask for help yourself. I'm sending my love and appreciation to everyone, and really share these songs, share these stories, share that knowledge, and share what's happening in Brazil, because it's going to affect us. 6 months from now, if we don't take care of it, it's going to take care of us. And so this is the traveling song. Hey ya, hey ya, hey yo. 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 much for joining me today. Yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing next week. And Miigwech, and I will see you next week if I don't see you prior. Great. Lots of love and healing, and good luck with the path this week. And we've got this. As long as we stand on this red road together, we can face anything. Hi, everyone.